is a show that focuses on the person behind the Brony. I'm your host, OsakaJack. Please sit back and relax as we talk to this week's guest Brony. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Into the Spotlight. This is your host, OsakaJack. With me today, I have somebody who is the head of a new group that I believe will be making waves very soon. Mr. Geldshot, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
Still a little sleepy. It is still technically AM for me. But hey, I suppose we all have to wake up at some point during the day. Sigh.
Not if you stay up all night.
Hey, this is a good point. I should do that. No, because then I'm going to sleep even
No.
more.
Not a good idea. Trust me, I did it.
Yeah. As of right now, there is no flex time work from home option for teaching kids.
Yeah, too bad you can't teach them all at midnight.
Yeah, I know. You'd be surprised how cranky 3-year-olds and their mothers get when you suggest a 2 a.m. class time. Oh, kid has to sleep. Oh, goodness. Whatever.
They can sleep when it's light out.
I know. I don't get that. I have heard it said before that the true measure of maturity is wanting to take a nap. It is that is the point where a child suddenly says, I think I'm going to take a nap. You have matured. You are no longer a child anymore.
No. You're scaring me because that means I might actually be mature.
I hate mentioning this to you, but under some cultures, yeah, you are.
Oh.
No, see, you failed it. The proper response to telling somebody being told that they are mature is, am not.
Yes. Well, I'll just go over on Twitter and be like, I am not.
Again, you failed. Why would you say I am? No, you just am not is the proper response. You don't need I, just am not.
True. Very true.
Because then there, R2, am not, R2. And the proper way to end that discussion is, do you know? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to bed.
No, it's am not times infinity.
Oh, God. No, I'm just losing today.
You are. You're too mature for these childish games.
Well, excuse me. I'm just going to grab my little McDonald's Skylanders toy here and press its button and make things light up. Yes, I do actually have a McDonald's Skylander toy.
Please, I live in Japan. There's no way anybody who has a toy would be any type of shock to me whatsoever.
Yeah, that's true. God, man, Japan is outdoing me. I need to just cover my work desk here.
Isn't it? Don't you feel there are some things that we take pride in as our own countries, and it just fills us with shame when another country can top? For example, it is with great shame an Australian taught me how to eat fast food in a superior manner. And I, as an American, felt shame because they were correct.
I really don't know what to say to that.
I know.
That's got to be an experience.
And this will be a shock to everybody who's listening in America, but Australia has the right idea. If you go to a fast food place and get the value meal, open your hamburger up, put the French fries on top, close it, and eat it like that. It is wonderful and superior. I felt shame that an Australian had to teach me the ways of this.
That's like a sunrise burger that's not a sunrise burger, but an afternoon burger.
Yeah. There you go. Mm-hmm. I also was schooled by a Canadian who insisted that maple syrup is a good dipping sauce for nuggets. And it is.
I could see that one. I could see that. Man, what do I have to stand for as an American now?
I know!
This is just...
We've been out fast fooded. There's nothing left for us.
Well, I'm just going to go get in my pickup truck and drive away now.
Yay! And we are again at the top. Woohoo! A pickup truck. Woohoo! Yes! Okay. Well, I mentioned it briefly, but you are in one of the newer groups called Gaming Colts.
Yeah. Funnily enough, this group was sort of a collaborative thought process between me and another person Bajati.
Oh,
we had
yeah,
been
him.
talking for a long time about game dev in general within the fandom. And
right.
I had repeated conversations with many different people, many different persons that
Hmm.
I happened to run into with
Right.
subjects ranging from like, what is licensing? How do you make this work? How do you do this?
Hmm. Hmm.
Did you hear about what happened to fighting his magic? Well,
Right.
what could they have done? What can't they do? What
Right. Right.
and that those conversations just continued on and on and on. And I knew that other people had those problems. And the Gaming Colts started as me finding people who were more or less local to me,
Hmm.
who A, wanted to make games, and B, wanted to sort of do the litmus test of finding out those answers and helping some of the other devs within the fandom
Hmm.
understand how those things work.
Right.
And there's a myriad of things that, I, they really could use some help with.
Sure.
I
Sure.
have yet to run into a single group within this fandom that does full-fledged project management well, and it would really help them.
Yeah, I can understand that. Well, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. It's just not something that
Yeah.
people consider very often when they're thinking. It,
Yeah, it's one of those things that you stop for a moment. You're like, okay, well, we can improve what we're doing here,
mhm.
and suddenly we have more time and we understand like how much time it's going to take to get things done.
Right. Right. Well, I think it's rarely that somebody says, "Hey, I wonder if I can do this. This is a great idea. Okay, let's plan out the management approach to this." It it seems to be more of, "Hey, I can do this. This is great. Let's see if I can do this," and not thinking of, how am I going to release this and how am I going to work with it? And
See, it's funny because like I understand that idea,
mhm.
and I was kind of fortunate because I was kind of looking for that person too at the same time, because it's like, yeah, I need having a game dev team is nice, but having some of the other people involved in there too
Right.
would be good.
Mm-hmm.
And there was someone local who was looking to be a producer within game dev.
Okay.
It's like, okay, yeah, come over here and you can do
Hmm.
oh, producer type things.
Right. Right.
And that happens to be Steve or Wave Function, who is listed on the site.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah,
How many how many people are involved in Gaming Colts right now, as of the time of this interview?
oh man, I'd have to actually count it. Amusingly enough, I still, even though he's busy at the moment, I still count Bajati as one of
Okay.
our members.
Sure.
He, in fact, on the site, he's listed as Bajati Sparkle Horse the Third.
I see.
That's what he gets for not giving me a bio. So in addition to that, there is myself. I do software development, and I
Hmm.
am a programmer by trade. There is Jigpoo, who is one of he's a programmer too. One of our more busy programmers though, because he's involved in Everfree Northwest, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Light Fantastic is our artist slash character designer.
Okay.
So the Crystal Games Challenge site.
Hmm.
I think I may have thrown it at you earlier.
Hmm.
The art that's kind of floating around on that site is all things that she's thrown together.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, she's actually a really good artist.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
Ludric Padius is actually learning game development, not
Hmm.
not strictly game development, but I forget the term. It's an interactive design degree.
Okay.
So it is directly related to game development, but
Right. It's a more
he,
specialized area.
it's more general. He can use
Okay.
it for more than just game dev.
Okay. Okay.
And MC Hesher, who does writing, if there's a post and I have time to let it be edited,
Hmm.
I will throw it at him and see him work the thesaurus beautifully.
Mm.
We have orchestral design, who acts as our sound engineer,
Hmm.
and he goes through and edits some of the podcasts we make as we go along.
Right. Right.
Um, at the time of this recording, we've only had two podcasts. By the time this airs, we might have another.
Okay. Okay. So sounds like half a dozen.
Yeah,
Um,
just about a
okay,
little bit over, I believe.
all right. Are there plans to like incorporate 50 or more, or are you going to try to stay a small focused group?
Well, the Gaming Colts itself is recruiting. We're
Okay.
looking for some people who can do like animation or somebody who can just generally be a community manager,
Hmm.
sort of man the Twitter and Facebook feeds and keep it
Okay.
going.
So social media
Um,
expert then.
yeah,
Okay.
basically. Um, that's for the Gaming Colts itself, though.
Right.
Uh, the There is a nonprofit group that is directly related to the Gaming Colts that we call the Gaming Colts Foundation,
Hmm.
or when we're being really lazy, we just call it the Foundation.
I I don't know why that fills me with. It sounds like the title of a bad horror movie. The Foundation.
Dun dun dun. But
Okay, I'm sorry.
it's
I'm sorry.
really yeah, no, I get it.
Mm-mm.
um, its purpose is just literally to help people develop good game dev practices within the fandom.
Mm-hmm.
It is a nonprofit group.
Right.
Whenever we do any events that are supposed to promote game dev in some way,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be through the Gaming Colts Foundation.
Okay.
And that group itself
Mm.
is we are sort of recruiting for it, but at the same time, you can just go to the site and create an account on there and interact on the forums as much as you want.
So what are some projects coming up that Gaming Colts Foundation has started moving?
Well, right now we got the Crystal Games Challenge coming.
Crystal Game
Um,
Challenge. Okay.
yeah, at the time of this recording, it's basically just been announced.
Okay.
Uh, Basically, the Crystal Games Challenge is a game jam
Mm-hmm.
supported by Blue Screen Bronies, Everfree Northwest, and the Gaming Colts.
Okay.
Game jam being where you come in for 48 hours, you make a game, and at the end of the 48 hours, you submit it.
Okay.
Uh, and the support we're getting from like Blue Screen Bronies and Everfree Northwest is actually kind of interesting. All the games that are submitted to the Game Jam or
Mm.
Crystal Games Challenge will be showcased at Everfree Northwest
Oh,
in
there you
the
go.
games
Okay.
room,
All right.
right? Yeah.
Now, the I assume with this challenge there will be a winner declared. That's the okay.
Yes.
Will the
The,
winner be at all influenced by what people at Everfree Northwest say about the games?
um, because unfortunately we can't work that out.
Okay. All right.
I really wish I could.
Mm-mm.
However, because of the way it's going to happen, we have to prepare the materials ahead of the convention.
I see.
So we have to decide on a winner
Mm-mm.
before we're setting up the actual showcase.
Okay.
And the reason
Okay.
why we have so like Blue Screen Bronies, they have their panel on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And that panel is actually when the winners of the game jam will be announced.
All right. So, can people make predictive choices?
As much as they want to. And
Yay! You can guess all you like. How
right.
will the winner be decided?
There were three categories I was looking at, if I can
Mm.
actually find it in my notes. Primarily, had to cut it down to three. Let me see. Oh, yes. Submissions will be judged for technical excellence in three categories:
Okay.
art, sound, and gameplay.
All right. Art, sound, gameplay. But my question is more: who chooses the winner? Is it
Um,
just you, or
it is the Gaming Colts.
okay,
We'll
Gaming
go
Colts?
through, give some scores on what we think of it,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and we will try to critique every submission that comes into it
Okay.
comes into the challenge and give that critique back to the people who made the game.
I see.
It's up to them whether or not they publish that critique.
Is there a prize? I know
You
that's not
know,
the point of it, but
oh yeah, I understand, and it was one of my hopes was to be able to work out some manner of prize for people who were doing this challenge.
mm,
Unfortunately, I couldn't get the incorporation and the rules together
mm,
in time for there to be a planned prize for this. So we're just
okay.
holding off on that for this year. Next year we may actually put together some manner of prize for the contestants.
How many entries are you expecting?
I will be happy with 10.
Okay.
I think we can beat that though.
Okay.
Uh, previously there was a previously within the fandom there was a group called My Little Game Jam.
Hmm.
They had, I want to say, 25 entries
Okay. Okay.
or possibly a little more.
Right.
And even then, I have been poking people here and there. Some networking I did at Equestria A got at least 2 to 3 more people interested in it,
Nice.
and a number of people who are watching the Twitter feed and ready to do the game jam in itself.
Nice. Okay.
So, and in fact, just today I saw somebody who was poking me saying, "Can you move the game jam so that I can participate too?"
Okay.
And we're trying to address that without having to actually move the game jam, but
Right.
yeah.
So, the schedule, it looks like June 22nd is when it will be announced.
Yes,
Okay.
the actual game jam happens on the 22nd of June,
Hmm.
and it will go till the 24th,
Okay.
basically noon to noon.
Hmm. Which time zone?
Oh, that's a good one. Pacific time zone.
Okay.
So if you're in Seattle, this is normal for you. If you're elsewhere, sorry, I don't
Adjust.
know time
Right.
travel.
Hmm. I mean, it is 48 hours, so, regardless of which time zone, there's going to be sleeping and eating and whatever in there, but yeah.
Realistically, in like a millennium or two, we could hold this game jam in like a TARDIS or something, but it's just not feasible this year.
I think I would prefer the Bill and Ted phone booth myself. Just, I don't know.
Oh man, that thing is great too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to be able
Except
to literally surf the time web. Just woo.
except it's only really got an accuracy to a day. You can't go like within a specific hour.
I think that would be nice. Just because less chance for paradox if you know when somebody should appear if they're going to appear.
That's true.
Just my opinion on it.
Still got to be punctual.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, and of course, there will be a hidden criteria to this. Otherwise, people would just work
Yes.
on it now. And of course, we cannot mention what the hidden criteria will be.
So a common practice within game jams is that yes, they announce their game jam, yes, they talk about what's going to be happening and some of the different rules that are involved, but there is one sort of mystery box thing that we're hanging on to.
Hmm.
And for the Crystal Games Challenge, this is our thematic challenge.
Okay.
We're going to hang on to the actual theme of the game jam,
Hmm.
which all games will be required to adhere to some degree. Um, it should be easily recognizable as being adhering to that challenge
Okay.
from a glance.
Okay. So if it's like one line in the end credits, that's not going to cut it.
Right, right. The,
Uh,
the the idea is that you're supposed to base the game around that theme
right. Okay.
in one way or another,
Hmm.
which it just kind of tests your ability to adapt and make things work.
Gotcha. Okay. Ooh, should be nice. Will you mentioned that all of these will be showcased at Everfree. Will they be available afterwards?
Yes, we're going to be. I will try to work it out so that I can get them posted on the site
Okay.
while we're at Everfree.
Oh, nice.
If not, I will get it up there directly after Everfree. And
Mm-hmm.
in addition to that, whenever the Gaming Colts goes out and showcases at a convention,
Mm.
we're going to try to take a couple of gaming computer rigs with us
Okay.
and show off some of the games from this game jam.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
Mm.
There's some tentative plans to make it to another convention this year.
Hmm.
I'm still trying to figure out if I can make that work or not. But
Right.
if I can, your games will be shown off at another convention before December.
Nice. Yay.
Not BronyCon though. That's too close.
Yeah, yeah. That's yeah. A lot of planning goes into attending conventions that not a lot of people understand.
Oh yeah, and it's doubly so for me because I actually work with 2 different conventions. That's how I was able to get it lined up so that we could showcase these games at Everfree.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I'm sitting here right now planning for 2014 what conventions I can make it to with this computer equipment that I'm
Right.
buying up now.
Yeah. It. Yep. Takes a lot of planning. I know if
Oh yeah.
uh recording this, we're in mid-late May. It's far too late for me to start planning for a Christmas vacation in the States. It's just I can't do it. The
right?
window has passed.
It's too close, too soon.
Yeah.
And it's weird to say that because it's months and months out.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's an incredible dichotomy at how quickly technology can change and how fast things can move. At the same time, how early you have to plan stuff anymore.
Yeah, and it's kind of a humbling experience to realize we haven't even reached BronyCon yet, and I'm already planning about how to get to BronyCon next year with everything.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, probably if you buy your airline ticket right now, it'll probably be a lot cheaper than when the time comes around.
Yeah, definitely. It's if you can buy it at the right time. Sometimes they make it a really expensive, well, like a little bit more expensive when it's certain ways out.
Mm-hmm.
The sweet spot I've found with traveling tends to be right at the 2 week mark.
2 weeks. Okay.
If you can't buy your plane ticket by the 2 week mark,
Mm.
it's going to start going up. And this was especially apparent with Equestria LA, where some of us kept on eyeing the plane tickets, and I had decided for some reason to drive
Mm.
with some friends down to EQLA from Seattle.
Okay.
And it was a tiny car, but there was some talks about trying to get another person down to EQLA, and I was like, well, I could potentially buy a ticket, fly down, and then he could ride down with you guys so that he has a cheaper trip, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to pay as much.
Right.
And I just watched it and it's like, okay, well, it starts at about 220 and it starts going up and up and up and up. And about the day of the convention, it's right at around 360 or higher.
Oh man.
Yeah, which
That's
isn't bad actually.
really
But
okay.
well, consider like flying out to BronyCon
Mm.
would probably start at about 300
Okay. I can see that.
because it's the difference between going from Seattle to Baltimore
Mm-hmm.
versus going from Seattle to LA.
Right. Okay.
It's kind of just a hop, skip, and a jump away for planes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. It's different for me because I literally cannot drive anywhere that is not Japan. It is impossible. Uh, so I have to fly.
Have you tried?
I have not, but at the same time, I don't have money for replacement vehicles very much.
See,
So,
I was going to say maybe you have the car from what is it, Spy Hunter, the one that you go through the little tunnel and it turns
oh
into.
yeah, that's a good idea. But unfortunately, the theme from Peter Gunn is licensed, and I don't have the money to afford that. And if you don't have the sound, it just doesn't match.
Oh man,
Yeah,
sad.
just if you can't play Peter Gunn, then there's no point in driving your car into a boat into the ocean and going. Yeah, it doesn't work.
So as I understand it, you will in fact be at Everfree.
I will. Yes, that is correct. Hotel purchased quite a while ago. Airplane ticket purchased. Now I'm in the process of saving up money for eating and hopefully swag. But at this point, eating is kind of more important.
Worst case scenario, just come visit us in the games room. As I understand it, there's going to be at least two other groups in that room,
Hmm.
and I'm not entirely certain if I can say who they are.
Okay, we'll just say two other groups that will be recognized. Okay.
Yes. They both make games.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right? Yeah.
As long as
Just
it's not
showing
during
off
my
some
panel,
stuff.
I'll be sure to try and show up. So yay,
Oh,
that'd be good.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I do
I
have a panel
imagine.
as well, so I kind of have to go now.
Oh boy.
Yee. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward
that
to it.
you don't want to skip out on that.
No, no, I don't. No.
Everybody would just be like, "Where's Osaka?
Mm-hmm.
He better
Whereas,
not be in Osaka."
just somebody wheels in a computer, turns on Skype, and hi guys. Sorry, it was really expensive. I thought somebody would give me money, but they didn't. So sorry. No, I can't do that. Not gonna do that. No.
Yeah, my plane crashed before we took off, and yeah, I'm totally still in Japan.
Turns out the airlines have a new fee where if you want wings on your aircraft, you have to pay extra, and I didn't have that with me.
Oh,
I could see that becoming
just
a fee in the future, and that's scary. Though I have to say, I
I
have
can't
to
believe
mention,
you Pegasi.
I have to mention it really fast. It is funny to me if I do a flight that starts in Japan and finishes in any city in America. International travel, checked bags are free. And that includes if I have a one stop or two stop thing. So it is kind of funny to me if leaving from some city and they say, okay, well, that'll be $25 for your checked bag. And I say, no, it won't. It is so funny to put an agent in their place and say, nope, I don't have to pay. It's included in my ticket.
That is ridiculous.
It's funny.
Oh man, I've had to deal with checked bags, and I'm gonna have to deal with it again with next year's convention season. But
Yep. Well,
it's the little things you notice where one place you have to pay for this, one place you don't, and suddenly you're going, why?
yeah.
I
I
like free stuff.
Free stuff is nice. Yeah. But no, I am looking forward to it. And I would have liked to go on to BronyCon, but honestly, the difference between Seattle and between Everfree Northwest and BronyCon was the extra 4 to 6 hours of flying, and I don't have a long big time off of work, so I got to go with the closer one.
Right? Too bad we can't work out that whole teleporter technology yet.
Yeah.
Can't like chain together some unicorns and make some stuff happen.
Oh, there we go. Twilight can do it. We know Twilight
Right?
can do it. Twilight does it all the time. Instead of walking 4 feet, she'll teleport.
I think that was like the one thing that really amused me from Alicorn Day. That one video. God, I can't remember what the group is that makes it, but it was their take on Twilight getting wings.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh, so I suppose you can fly really, like, get around really fast just now, right? Oh yeah. Wait, I forgot something. Poof, poof. Had to check on my dinner. It was getting cold.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. For me, one of the just going between Alicorn and Unicorn ideas in the Games Ponies Play episode of season 3, Cloudsdale was disappointed that they didn't get the games. And yet, I'm not sure how they could have invited Earth Ponies or unicorns to come and participate in the games.
Somebody did a really great political cartoon about that.
Did they? I didn't
Where
see that. I'm sorry.
oh man, it's just perfect, like black and white inked cartoon,
Mhm.
and all it showed was like, well, looks like we lost the games again this year. It just shows the hole where the Inspector Pony was on the cloud.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, I'm not sure. I love the idea that they were all excited about it, and then, oh, we didn't get it at the last minute. Really? This is an option?
It's like
Okay.
that's one of the things that you're not supposed to think about too
I know. I
much.
know. And I suppose technically they could have cast a spell that lets them walk on clouds for a day. Okay, okay, all right.
Yeah, Fanon has so much fun with that one spell alone.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah,
It is a strong enough fandom that we will find the plot holes and seal them ourselves.
and there was that scene from the Wonderbolt Academy where Rainbow Dash catches them all with a bunch of clouds,
Yeah.
just compresses them up and bounce.
Very true.
So maybe they've got cloud compressors.
There you go. There you go. So they would have compressed clouds for the games. Okay, we've sealed it. There we go. There was a hole.
Oh,
We stitched it. We sealed it. It's done.
you're welcome, Hasbro. Fixing your canon.
Pretty soon they'll just start releasing stuff and just say a unicorn did it.
Oh, and the fandom is just going to collectively say magic. Snort, snort.
Yep. Well, so the groups that we're looking at right now, we have Gaming Colts started recently, and then Gaming Colts Foundation, which is separate, And
It's separate but the same. It's the same group right now, but it could have other people in it.
understand. And then Crystal Game Challenge is working towards it.
And the Crystal Games Challenge is an event organized by the Gaming Colts Foundation.
Gotcha.
And the distinction there is important because it's an event that's put on, therefore other people can support it without technically like supporting the foundation.
Okay. So if somebody just hates the idea of the foundation, they can still support Crystal Games Challenge, and it's not a problem for them.
Yeah, if that's what they want to go with.
Hey, why not?
Maybe there's a gremlin who has a beef with me, but absolutely loves the concept of the Crystal Games Challenge.
Sure, why not? It works. This is a way for them to get around it. Man, I hate every single person involved in it, but this is an event. So yeah, okay, I'll support that.
Yep.
Well, what support are we looking for Crystal Games Challenge? What can the average? I mean, we mentioned that it is open for everybody who wishes to participate. But what other support is being sought after at this point?
It goes without saying, word of mouth is always appreciated.
Sure.
Just simply talking about it, mentioning it to some of your friends, and maybe piquing the interest of that one person in your group who is interested in game dev in some way, is appreciated.
Okay.
In addition to this, the Crystal Games Challenge itself is not exclusive to programmers or game devs.
Right.
The categories that I listed for the technical excellence includes art and sound.
Okay.
If you got somebody who is just wanting to play around with a little bit of music and a little bit of sound in a game environment, see if you can point them our way and have some fun there.
Sure. Okay.
Art too, animation, anything like that. Maybe they do really killer 3D models within a short time frame.
Okay.
And can pull that off.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Oh,
okay.
In general, just literally talking about it and supporting it by spreading the word is about the best you can do.
Okay. Okay.
As far as things go, there isn't too much of a financial investment in this right now.
Okay.
Just generally people who the only cost I incur by doing this is the equipment that is going to be owned by the Gaming Colts.
Gotcha.
And the hosting costs for the games that we put up, which isn't much.
Okay. So I honestly don't know the answer to this question, but is the Crystal Games Challenge, does it have to be an individual working on the game, or can it be a group, or like a country, or?
As amusing as a countrywide developed game would be, I'm gonna have to think about that one.
China's entry is.
Oh man, I don't need another Farmville. As amusing as that is, the maximum size of teams for the Crystal Games Challenge is 4. You can do this solo too.
Okay.
It's, if I remember the terms and conditions we decided on, it's perfectly reasonable for you to use pre-existing libraries, frameworks, art assets, and sound clips that are all generally royalty free. They must have some manner of free version, more or less be widely available.
Okay. All right. So I assume that would be a case by case basis.
Yeah, generally that's how to avoid. It lets you sort of have some decent assets to work with.
Okay.
Without having to make it all yourself. And this is particularly essential for people who are just a one-man team and they're sitting there going, well, I can't make music in this short amount of time.
Right. Okay. So it will be, so just because you can't do music or can't do a specific thing doesn't mean you have no chance.
Right.
Okay. All right.
And as stated previously, the game is judged on 3 categories. Again, art, sound, and gameplay. So just because you have some really bad art doesn't mean that your gameplay is bad too.
Okay. So I'm sure, I don't know, but I would imagine that you get some games that are just horrible in 2 categories, but really do well in 1.
Oh, definitely.
And that's not necessarily a terrible thing. It's.
The Gaming Rainbow segment that I do for the Gaming Colts whenever we hold our podcast generally came about by my actually knowing and playing a ton of indie games.
Okay. Okay.
And in particular, there's one, Thomas is Alone, that every character in there is just a block.
Okay.
So, art-wise, it's not very strong, but they do so much with that
Okay. Okay.
that it plays through really well. So
Sure.
art may be a 1, but every other category it excelled.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of things like that. For example, XKCD. I'm very sure a lot of people are familiar with that.
Oh yeah.
Not strong art, but an amazing webcomic to read because it has just phenomenal writing.
And you see, that's kind of the key with a lot of game dev, is that you have to actually sit back and realize what are the parts that you want to focus on
Hmm.
and what you want to make good,
Yeah.
because you can't spend the time to make everything good.
Right.
You couldn't do that if you were 1 person, 10 people, or a 100-person team.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's impossible.
Yep.
So you got to pick and choose your fights.
Yep. Yep. Find out what you're good at and just let the other stuff kind of do what you can.
Yeah, you usually get other people to help you out with the other pieces too.
Yeah. Huh. Well, is it possible? I mean, is there perhaps a forum that people can go to saying, I'm great at art, but I suck at these two things. I'm looking for a team that needs an artist?
Yeah, if you go to the Crystal Games Challenge website, there is actually a forum built into that website.
Okay.
And at the same time, the Gaming Colts Foundation has forums built into it.
Okay.
Some interesting plugins that I've been playing with, the Crystal Games, not Crystal Games, the Gaming Colts Foundation website has the ability for people to register and build their own teams in there and have private forums attached to that team.
Okay. Okay. Oh, so yeah, so you can go and just say, I mean, it's not really looking for group, but yeah, it is.
A looking for group plugin would be really interesting on the day of the challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yay! I gave
God,
an idea. Woohoo!
now I got an idea for next year. Just make a looking for group thing.
Yay!
There's always going to be those programmers left in the queue, though.
Very true. Very true. I mean that might be an interesting game development challenge. As is, people go in not knowing if they're going to be part of a team or by themselves or whatnot, and just like 10 seconds before the theme is announced, okay, here's your group, go. So it's also testing how well you can work with people that you don't have a lot of experience with.
And you see, when you do that, you also have to specify randomly who is the leader, because otherwise they sit there trying to decide for 10 minutes.
Nah.
Just take
No.
that out and just
No, that'll be part of it. Part of it is decide. If you get a group with 4 leaders, I cannot tell you how terrible it is if you have a group with everybody who wants to be a leader. That's just
man,
it's horrible.
Man, going back to my days in World of Warcraft here, sometimes being a party leader doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Especially when you're sitting there, you're tanking, and there's that one DPS who thinks that he can pull for you.
I remember there was an anecdote from a university. It was a student was being interviewed, and one of the questions on there was, "Are you a leader?" And so the person asked, "Well, do you consider yourself a leader?" And the student said, "I have to admit, in all full honesty, I am more of a follower than a leader." And the person said, "Great, you're accepted. Every single person that I've talked to for the last 4 months has considered themselves a leader, and we don't have anybody who's willing to follow somebody who can lead."
Oh, man.
So a person got into university because they admitted that they were capable at following.
See, that's an interesting one, because one of the issues I've seen with an actual this fandom right here was that it's kind of difficult to make any group.
Okay.
As is, make a group instead of just a one-man show.
Right.
And one of the things I've kind of formulated as I went along, I've tried to do projects before where I put together a team and had them fail. And one of the things you kind of have to do is you kind of have to lay the seeds and work on doing some networking for like months at a time.
Right.
before you can actually pull in a group that's really interested in it,
Mhm.
because you've been selling them on it for months.
Right, right. Yeah, I can see that. Sure. Doesn't happen overnight, even though a lot of people would like. Well, I guess technically 48 hours, yeah, it would happen overnight. But except for the Crystal Games Challenge, no, it usually doesn't happen overnight.
In the context of the Crystal Games Challenge, we took some duct tape and wrapped it around you guys. Have fun. We'll see if you can we'll see if you can float when you're all duct taped together.
Lord. Knowing enough of this fandom, I think that, yeah, probably. And I'm not doing a judgment call. I probably would float myself. But I'm just saying that that joke was right
You
there,
know,
and I had to take it.
they're so full of high ideals, I can't imagine them sinking.
I was going to say hot air, but yeah, okay.
That too. Who knows? Maybe we're making a sauna.
Ooh, there we go. Okay.
Oh
Uh,
man.
well, a question that I ask in each of my interviews: what would you say in all of My Little Pony? What is the one line or one scene that defines you as a brony?
Defines me as in it was the line that kept me going, or defines me as in it's the one I identify the most with?
Oh, your choice.
Well, if we're gonna go with the one that kept me going,
Mm.
I almost stopped watching My Little Pony when I first saw it,
Mm-hmm.
until I saw the whole line during Pinky's song that was "Tell me she's not." She is, because it's
Okay.
just so classic, and it was like, okay, it understands how freaking cheesy it's being right now, so
Yeah.
I'll watch it a little further.
Okay, I can see that. Sure. Yeah, I had similar feelings. Like, oh, great, a song. And then character actually said, "Tell me she's not." I just said that. Wow. Yeah, you get me. Okay.
And honestly, I identify with the Twilight Sparkle clock is ticking, because I'm still in the college grind right now, so I do feel that a bit.
Right.
Spend a nice all night homework assignment time, and then pull it off in like the last 15 minutes before class.
Of course. Yep.
Yes, Twilight Sparkle, I know how you feel. Then I suppose the counter question is, what is yours?
Well, I have two actually. My first one isn't a line, but it is a scene, and it's only a second and a half, if that, in Luna Eclipsed. After Luna has tried to greet the villagers, and everybody cowers in fear, and she storms off angrily. Twilight attempts to go find her, and we see she finds Luna sitting down on the ground in front of the statue of Nightmare Moon, and she's kind of pawing at the ground, a piece of candy on the ground. And I just found that so heartrending.
The
Just
offering to Nightmare Moon. Oh
no,
man.
just her looking and saying, "This is how they see me, because this is how I was, and it doesn't matter how much I change, how much good I'm going to do. Some part of me is always going to be this."
Luna is a character that I just am absolutely enthused with.
I think a lot of the fandom is. She seems to it's a lot of how a lot of us feel.
It's, without going too much into it,
Hmm.
I think quite a few sort of identify with her in that she's the one character who has had the biggest screw up out of any others.
Yes, this is
And
true.
it's only barely mentioned, and yeah, people forgived her for it, but
Hmm.
she's still trying to make up for whatever she did wrong. And
Exactly. Yep. And
I
that.
I think everybody has had a little bit of that at some point in their childhood, and
Oh,
it's like,
sure,
okay,
sure. Not even childhood, just life in general. There's that
oh
one,
yeah,
and if you only have one thing, you're really lucky. But there's probably a several things that you've done that you're like, oh, I cannot believe. What was I thinking? That was why did I do that? Yeah, and it's
it's
not something that's ever going to be completely gone. So best you can do is try to deal with it and go as much as you can.
yep, definitely.
And the other one is more humorous. It's Best Night Ever. Fluttershy sees all of the animals, and she gets excited and yells out and runs up to them, and all of the animals scatter. Pew! And Fluttershy says, "Oh, Fluttershy, you're such a loudmouth." And I found that hilarious that nobody, no pony, no person would ever describe Fluttershy as a loudmouth in normal situations. But for her own inner dialogue, she considers herself to be a loudmouth.
Because she scared away the animals.
Well, the way she said it, it sounds like this is a continuous chide of herself that she has. And I can identify that often our what we consider to be our own biggest flaw is something that nobody else would ever consider us to have a flaw in.
Man, you should never ever get the chance to hear a programmer's internal dialogue. It is the most foul-mouthed thing you can ever imagine,
Of
and it
course,
is fairly self-destructive.
I have no comparison because nobody hears anybody else's internal dialogue. But I can tell you, elementary school teachers, we have some pretty nasty ones ourselves.
Oh, I imagine for any teacher, that's just that point when you have a student who's sitting there saying, "You aren't helping me at all. This is stupid. This isn't working. This isn't doing this. This isn't that." And
Yeah.
it's just,
Oh yeah. There are times where I'm just the mental image is of me just standing up, running to the window, throwing myself out of it, just.
it's like there's points when I've been a little self-aware of my criticisms for teachers because, you know, for my university, I have a lot of criticisms.
Oh, and to be honest, there are some horrible teachers out there. Oh yes,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah. And, you know, it's with universities, it's not like they do change very quickly, but you know, the teachers do legitimately care.
Right.
And so when something doesn't work and they're kind of at a loss for how to change it to make it work,
Mm-hmm.
it's just it hurts.
Yeah.
Hits them hard.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a certain point where I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna hold off because, you know, teacher is a person too. I'm not gonna keep on grilling them. And honestly, I won't care a month after I get my degree, anyways.
There is if fairly recently on there is a video of a student who was kicked out of class by the teacher, and the student goes off on this long rant, and I've seen a lot of people consider this student to be, oh, what a heroic speech he's giving to this uninspiring teacher type thing, where he's essentially saying it's your job to inspire us to learn, and I'm not learning anything by reading these packets, and that's all I've
Oh
done.
man, I want to know what you think of that one.
I think I want to smack that boy. I think honestly, the best response the teacher could give at this point is the next day say, okay, guess what? Next week, you're going to handle all of class. Here's the curriculum that you are forced to teach. Here are the materials that are available to you. Good luck.
Oh man.
Go inspire, man. And I
Oh
understand his
man.
point. I understand his point. It's not always an inspiring thing that is done. And it is very possible that this teacher is a bad teacher. I honestly don't know. I just see that 35-second clip. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm in a position where I'm not willing to judge that teacher based on this. The
See,
only
that's one of the things that people actually often forget is that when you're sitting there chastising someone, you gotta realize sometimes they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Sometimes things are kind of out of their control.
Gosh, it's almost as if Equestria Girls that might relate to the fandom in some way. Equestria Girls as if some people who have jobs like, I don't know, animating or, creating something are told to do it as part of their job. That's
You know, the
oh.
Equestria Girls thing just it amuses me because you're sitting there, you watch it, it's like first there is the complete just this is horrible reaction. And then it's
I'm
the
willing
other
to give
side
it
of it
a
is
chance.
a bunch of
I'm
people who pop up and they're like, well, no, don't say that. It could be great. In fact, they've done great stuff before. And it's just like
absolutely, yeah.
immediately these two factions pop up and
What occurred to me first when I saw the thing, I'm like, really? But then immediately occurred to me, I remember how I felt when I heard that the season 2 finale was the royal wedding. And I'm like, really? Oh, okay. Hold on. Wait. That was the same sound. I just said the same word in the same way. Okay. I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a shot.
And honestly, with this whole thing, I do reserve some amount of judgment. And looking at the trailer,
Hmm.
there's a little bit in there that looks like, okay, it looks like I can see little tidbits
Yeah.
in between the shots. It's like, okay, there's some kind of glowing column of light that somebody's getting lifted up in.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm interested. The rest of
Yep.
the trailer, I'm just kind of but that I want to see what it is.
The extreme frustration for me is that while the TV show, I would get to see it streaming or, be able to watch it very, very soon thereafter. I'm not going to be able to see this for months. It's going to be literally, I mean, unless I happen to be able to, unless it's in a theater in Seattle when I go to Everfree Northwest, um, I'm not going to be able to see it until it comes out on DVD.
Yeah, and you know, if I about this whole Equestria Girls thing, if I
Uh-huh.
had one thing I wanted to actually state to the show staff, it would be this. When we react poorly to something like this, it isn't that we think you've done something horrible. It's that we understand that you may have been forced to do some things that you liked or didn't like. And in this case, we kind of wish you just had free reign to do what you want.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think everybody will agree with you just because there are some people who have been threatening show staff,
Yeah,
which is just ridiculous. But I think those that are capable of thought are saying either, hey, we'll give it a chance, or gosh, it doesn't look great to me and I think it's going to be terrible, but I don't quite blame the show staff.
the vast
It's hope.
majority of the people I've talked to are just kind of like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit of the into the rabbit hole again
Hmm.
with bronies here, in
Yeah.
that you have the people who are willing to give it a chance,
Hmm.
much like you had the first bronies who were willing to give it a chance.
Yeah.
And then you have the bronies who are a little less willing, but they're getting dragged in with the others. I mean,
I
go
wouldn't call
go
that
on
I
meet.
wouldn't call that rabbit hole. It's more like Titanic going down and it's going to form a vacuum wake.
And we're bringing everyone with us. But no, it's hilarious. You go onto the meetups for just about any brony group,
Hmm.
and there is at least one let's go watch Equestria Girls meetup somewhere. In some
Here,
cases,
yeah,
two or three.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Not in Japan. The movie's not coming out yet. Still
we'll
showing
we'll,
the episodes.
we'll
Uh,
bootleg it and ship it to you.
it's one thing that is disappointing is I know I won't be able to see it for a while. I am vehemently anti-spoiler. I unfollowed a bunch of people before the end of the finale for season 3 just because I didn't want to know anything, and I know it's going to be impossible to avoid the spoilers for this movie. It's
Oh,
I
it's gonna be.
yeah.
I feel for you.
Oh well.
Even like the time frame, like even an hour after something happens, you will start seeing spoilers for it.
Yep.
I last weekend Doctor Who finale, and I'm sitting there
Oh
going,
man. Yeah, I got.
waiting for it to pop up on Amazon so I can actually watch it. And I go on Tumblr like,
Yep. There's the spoilers.
really, people,
Hmm.
this quickly? You can't like wait a day. There was actually a rule on a Reddit for a while that anything there would be a day of spoilers, that if you submit anything about the episode within the day, within the 24-hour time frame of when the episode aired,
Yeah.
it has to be tagged NSFW, which gets turned into a spoiler tag on the My Little Pony subreddit.
Makes sense for me. I think it's a good idea. I know that the EFN chat was spoiler free. You weren't allowed to be able to when season 3 was still airing, but
Yep.
ah.
No, it
Well,
makes perfect sense.
yeah, I think so. Is there anything else that you'd like to plug while you're here? We mentioned Crystal Games Challenge and Gaming Colts and Gaming Colts Foundation, which everybody should go check out. Anything else you'd
Anything
like to
else?
plug?
Man, I wish I had thought about this.
Ha!
Well, I'd like to plug pancakes. Pancakes are really good. Bacon is wonderful.
Yeah,
There's
you
that whole
can do
Music
the making
Equestria
bacon
thing.
pancakes. Making bacon pancakes. Okay,
Making
sorry.
bacon pancakes. There's that whole Music Equestria thing going on.
Music
Uh,
Equestria. Yep.
Whenever Bajati gets done with that, he might come back to Gaming Colts and help us out again. So, yeah, go support Musiquestria too, as much as you can.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I'm as spread out as I am.
Mhm.
I don't think Everfree Northwest and Equestria LA really need plugging at this point.
Why not? Go to Everfree
Sure.
Northwest.
Yes,
Go.
go to them.
Yeah, and Equestria LA.
And
Go.
actually, amusingly enough, Nightmare Nights has some familiar staff from Equestria LA on it, so you
Mhm.
should take a look at them.
Yep. Yep. Indeed. Well, today we have been speaking with Geldshot of the Gaming Colts. Thank you very much for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Everyone, this has been Into the Spotlight with OsakaJack on Everfree Network. We'll catch you next time.